So this is what I've been up to on and off for the past several weeks, scanning thousands of, well, not thousands, but hundreds of slides, Kodachromes, in 3-dimension. They were made by this camera that my father bought back in the late 1940s. And my desk is cluttered with slides and boxes everywhere. It's going to take months to bring these, to digitize all of them. Here's what the slide mount looks like. It's somewhat smaller from top to bottom than a standard Kodachrome slide, but it is 35 millimeter and it's 2 images. That means I have to scan both images and deal with them as if they were one image. So let's begin. Here's the image as I scanned it for the preview, and now we're going to crop it. This is going to pop up the left side first, and as you can see there are the handy little tools here for cropping. And just finishing a little bit with the cropping now. Notice that I'm leaving something on the edges here, and actually that's not a bad idea because this is only the thumbnail. This is just the preview scan. When we finally get the image on a computer, we can go back, enlarge it, and actually cut off all of these margins. The next decision to make is what size output do you want. Remember, this is a slide and it's rather small. So you're going to scan it at 100% of its actual size, which is 100%. And then the resolution should be about 2400 dpi, at least that's what I'm using. You can go higher than that. In fact, some people do as 3000 or above, but it just slows things down, and I figure that the really special photos that I really want to work on in the future will be scanned at a higher resolution. But this is more than adequate. So and finally here's our image. Before we do the final scan, let's have a quick look. I'm looking more at the light and shadows. I don't care too much about color, in this case certainly. Saturation is good. So I think we're just going to leave it as it is. But that's not all of it, because remember, we have 2 images. There's another one down here that we need to work on. And of course that needs to be cropped. Alright, we'll go with that. Resize output again. I should probably develop some sort of a macro so I don't have to be doing this all the time. Alright, so now we have 2 images. It's 2400 pixels per inch. Each one is about 14 megabytes uncompressed, which gets it down to about 1 meg each after the final scan. And click Finish. Now going to go scanning both of these, and if you did slides, you would usually put 4 slides on the slide carrier, and it would probably take about 15 minutes to do the whole process. This will take a little bit less. And now the images are coming up on the big board here. And this is what we got. Actually, you can see that I've left the borders there. Now it's time to crop those out. Remember that this cropping is very critical in 3-dimension, because anything that you do with one image has to be exactly the same on the other side. Otherwise the alignment will not be precise enough, and it'll cause a lot of eye fatigue, or your 3-dimension effect will not be working. Now I'll go on to the next one. And there again. At this point I just go on to the next slide, but just to show you a little bit about the 3-dimension software looks like. I'm using something called 3D Combine, which I think was designed by an Australian. I'm not quite sure, but anyway, we're going to import the stereo pair, and have to go find the image. Okay, there we are. Okay, we're going to open that one, and then we go to pick in the one on the right side. And then align them vertically, This is an automatic process. And finally, save the new 3D image file. Before we do that, let's have a look at what this main screen looks like. Here we have 3D Combine's main screen with the left and right images. As you can see, I've cropped them, and the color saturation looks alright. At this point, you can do all kinds of things to it if you want to play around a little bit further, but let's just go ahead and finish the final image here. And there it shows up as an anaglyph. That's an overlap that you need to look at with the red-blue glass. But instead I've chosen to save it in parallel. And now going to the gallery, you can see I saved both the anaglyph and the parallel image. So let's look at the parallel one for a moment. And there you have it. Actually, I think I would probably go back to tweaking the shadows a little bit. They're a little bit too intense for what I've seen. But nevertheless, that's how it's done. And then from there, as you can see, the two images are fused, so it becomes one JPEG and very easy to send an email to someone. And finally, it's time to change over to another photo. As you can see, the negative carrier here is oversized for this type of slide, so I've had to make up my own little method to squeeze the photos in and get them to focus on the flattened screen.